Fala pessoal, sejam todos muito bem-vindos a mais uma live stream aqui na Modular Cripto. Eu sou o Guelph, comigo João Kryptonita, e hoje nós estamos fazendo um episódio especial porque temos um convidado internacional que é o Bunny, a.k.a. o Conejo Capital, que ele é o CEO aí da Search on Dora. Fala bastante da tese modular e também da Multichain. Mas antes, Curi, eu queria saber como é que você está. Antes de falar com o nosso convidado, eu queria saber como é que você está. Acabamos de quebrar a notícia, acabamos de descobrir que o ETF do Ether realmente foi aprovado, então estamos aqui iniciando essa live stream com esse nível de felicidade. Mas e aí, fala comigo, Curi.
Pô, por aqui tudo certo, animado demais pro papo de hoje, ainda mais nesse dia especial, né, Guelph? Não tinha, acho que, melhor dia pra gente fazer esse papo. A gente estava aqui já ontem falando sobre Ethereum, trouxemos então a live aqui também hoje, temos que falar um pouco do ETF, acho que um dia histórico pro ecossistema como um todo, acho que tava todo mundo aí esperando isso, né? E, pô, cara, eu tô muito animado pro papo de hoje. O Bunny, pô, já vou dar um contexto aqui pra galera que tá ouvindo a gente. Eu conheci o Bunny num post que ele fez no Twitter, no final do ano passado. Eu segui ele, e só que o ponto não é aí. Eu conheci de verdade o Bunny no meio de uma pizzaria lá em Honduras, e foi do jeito mais engraçado possível, porque ele tava conversando com a Gabi. A Gabi falou: você já conhece ele? Eu falei assim: qual que é o nome dele? Ela: Bunny. E eu falei assim: Bunny? Eu conheço o Bunny, eu já sigo o Bunny no Twitter, eu conhecia ele, a gente começou a trocar ideia, aí pô, a gente conversou bastante e foi muito legal, assim, essa experiência. Acho que todo mundo sabe que eu gosto muito de ir nos eventos, então, assim, o Bunny é uma pessoa que vocês vão conhecer mais hoje. A gente vai falar aqui em inglês um pouco do papo de hoje, mas, pô, cara, tem um Block Explorer aí que não é só um Block Explorer, tem coisas mais além que a gente vai falar hoje também. E, Guelph, cara, eu não sei você, mas eu tô animado pro dia de hoje como um todo, pro papo também e pro ETF, cara. Animado pelo momento, eu diria. Tá no mudo aí.
Welcome, Bunny.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, everyone? Thank you for having me here.
All right. Before we get started, let me get back our audience to the ETF approval. I'll switch back to Portuguese just to put a context on it. So,
Sure.
Então, galera, o ETF foi aprovado. Comissão de Valores Imobiliários lá dos Estados Unidos, da SEC, aprovou, então, 8 ETFs de Ethereum à vista em uma ordem coletiva, confirmando, então, a corrida de última hora para aprová-los. A SEC, então, aprovou os formulários 19B4 para os ETFs das empresas BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, Bitwise, VanEck, ARK Invesco, Galaxy e Franklin Templeton. Embora os formulários tenham sido aprovados, que esse é o primeiro formulário, os emissores do ETFs ainda precisam que suas declarações de registros S1 entrem em vigor antes que a negociação possa começar. A SEC começou recentemente conversa com os emissores sobre seus formulários de S1, mas ainda é incerto quanto tempo esse processo levará, embora alguns analistas especulem que pode levar algumas semanas. Então, Cura, eu já lhe pergunto, qual que vai ser o próximo FUD do mercado em cima dos ETFs?
O FUD já chegou, Guelph. Já recebi mensagem da galera falando que não tem dinheiro para comprar, tá faltando dinheiro lá para os grandes fundos, para BlackRock. Eu não sei se eu acredito nisso, eu acho que é mais um FUD aí, como a gente sempre traz aí, o mercado sempre quer botar um ponto ali, quer botar uma pedra, mas eu acho que não vai ter disso não, Guelph. A gente tá vendo aí muita coisa convergindo em um só patamar, né? Pô, ETF rolando, e muito talvez o porquê o ETF estava rolando também tá sendo uma pressão política. E, cara, eu vou falar para você, eu continuo cada vez mais bullish. Gary Gensler virou meu coração aqui, conseguiu me conquistar. Agora nem quero que ele saia mais da SEC, tá até de boa, ele pode ficar lá mais um tempo que tá tranquilo, viu, Guelph? Tá no mudo.
We're just talking about the Ether ETF. Maybe I want to before we get started all about Dora, I want to get your thoughts on the ETF approval. What's next for the industry as a whole?
For sure. I think something very fascinating is that after at least during the last Bitcoin ETF approval for spot, there was a lot of hype going into it. The inflows didn't materialize too quickly shortly after. I think people were not buying as far as everyone thought that they were going to. However, in the 3 months after that, people started buying quite heavily, to the point in which I think Bitcoin almost half doubled, I guess. It went up like 50% like after 3 months. So I think that there's a lot of interest for the ETF to actually have gotten approved, and then we'll see if this time people are actually going to buy after the approval, or if everyone bought just right before it.
Yeah, Bunny, excited times. I'm hyped here. We just did a live stream yesterday explaining to the folks a little bit more what's happening, what was the cause of the change. And yeah, everyone's very, very excited here in Brazil about this, I would say. Yeah, but like, let's take a step back, Bunny. Explain to us who is Bunny and what's our story. Let's start today's conversation, Bunny.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my name is Mauricio, also known as Bunny. I feel like almost everyone professionally and also in non-professional context now knows me as Bunny. I'm the founder and CEO of Search on Dora. We're a multi-chain search engine and discoverability tool. We work with a bunch of chains. If you've heard of rollups, of modular crypto, we work with every rollup out there, integrate them into our search engine, make their information easily accessible, and also facilitate transactions into these rollups. So beyond just learning about rollups, seeing what's out there, you can also start bridging, swapping, cross-chain minting, and interacting with every ecosystem that we integrate into our search engine.
Yeah, awesome. As someone who's been in crypto for a long time, I myself been in crypto for a long time. I've seen lots of stuff, ups and downs. How do you feel about the market in the last couple of days, weeks? Are you more in the optimistic camp?
I'd say I very much am. So before crypto, I did used to trade very heavily, primarily in equities. Like I was a quantitative fund before. Since then, since I left that, and then I started just working full time at Dora, over the past 2-3 years now, I guess. I stopped trading, but there's definitely been a vibe shift over the past couple of weeks, especially earlier this week. I did start to talk with a bunch of people that I used to work in banking. Just all of a sudden start asking me, hey, are you hearing anything? Is there something interesting happening with Ethereum? What's happening with Solana? Is there an ETF coming up? And I was like, yeah, maybe, probably. And I guess this week proved us all right, I guess. So yeah, no, I'm very, very hopeful on that end. But if anything, I'm super glad that it also serves as a way to revitalize a lot of the interest in crypto, and also, of course, revitalize the people that have already been working in the space for some time.
Yes, of course. I think 2024 will be, already is a year that nobody will forget. Like a lot of stuff already happened, and we are not halfway to the year. So exciting times. But Bunny, you already introduced us to Dora, but can you explain a little bit more? And at the same time, I think it will be interesting to hear your thoughts on why do you believe on a modular and multi-chain future? Why this is a thesis that you've been believing in? Like I would say that this is one of the reasons that Dora exists today. Am I right?
Yes. Could you repeat that very last part? Very sorry.
If that's, I think that like, because you believe in the modular and multi-chain future, I think that's one of the reasons why Dora is where it is today. Is that right?
Yes, very much so. So I'd say, and also I guess to give a bit more context on how I got into crypto and all of that. A lot of my professional life before was primarily in academia. In uni, I was focusing on social experimental psychology, very statistically heavy field. One of my professors gave me the guidance to start playing around with different data sets. I started playing around with a lot of markets, and then eventually came up with some interesting trading models. They performed quite well. We raised this fund based out of Latin America. Did that for a couple of years, and then I met a lot of quantitative researchers within crypto. They guided me very fortuitously, I'd say, through, there's a lot of these innovations coming up. A lot of the multi-chain future is for sure going to happen. That was, now it's something that we for sure know it's here. But 3 years ago, that wasn't really clear, especially 3-4 years ago, that was a very heavy bet to take at the time. But one of the things that became very clear immediately was, okay, in traditional finance, there's this idea of terminals, there's an idea of search engines. Like the golden age of Web 2 came hand in hand with what we used this framework at the time, aggregation theory, right? If there's an infinite and ever increasing demand for applications, goods, and services, there should also be an infinite and increasing demand for a single aggregated experience to actually engage with all of these. Now, with that, we had the golden age of Web 2 came with the golden age of search engines. So if we're gonna have if we're gonna have a true renaissance of rollups and the rollup renaissance, what tool can we actually use to start searching and engaging with every single one of these rollups? We are not necessarily going to use a single wallet we're not going to use a different wallet for every rollup. We don't necessarily think it will be good UX. If there's fragmentation, there's liquidity fragmentation, there's UX fragmentation. The major realization there was, okay, why should this tool that actually aggregates all of these rollups be only a trading tool? And why not actually make it something accessible, something consumer facing, something that anyone and everything can use to actually start interacting with these goods and services? And that was one of the seminal ideas of Dora. So then fast forward 3-4 years, where I think the rollup future is here. There's still a lot more to come. I feel like we have, let's say, even within just the Arbitrum ecosystem, we have visibility into 42 rollups that are being announced this year. Within the Optimism ecosystem, the super chain is ever growing. We had WorldCoin being announced. When in Arbitrum, we had Rari chain and Anime chain being announced coming into Dora as well. And yeah, I think that now we've even seen CK Sync starting to delve into the rollup ecosystem as well. So I think that the rollup future is very bright, and the more of these rollups show up, the greater the need of a not centralized but unified interface becomes.
Yes, I will just share my screen here for a little bit so we can basically show to the folks that are hearing us a little bit about what is Dora. I don't know, Bunny. I did not prepare you for this, but if you want to give us some walkthrough, like live walkthrough to the project, feel totally free. But yeah, guys, this is Dora. I will input my wallet here so we can explain a little bit more to the folks. But if you want to say a few words about this interface and about the product, feel totally free, Bunny.
So I think first and foremost, I'd say click on one of the transactions, the one that says swap at the bottom. At the bottom to the right. I want to see the swap because it's a little bit more interesting actually. So on that one, so over here, if you're familiar with a block explorer, you can see that this is a lot more friendly already from the get-go. We create self-generative profile pictures for every single address. And then we have this contextualizer that collapses every single complex transaction back to a single minimize, action. So in this case, someone did a swap of USDT and then USDT ended up being sent back. But if we want to see at the very bottom, there's a token transfers view. So if you want a little bit more granularity as to actually what happened with the transaction, we can see that there was a wrapped ETH hop at some point during this transaction. If we look at details, if we look at the coded input data, we can then get all the different, more on-chain data that people may not necessarily want to look at from a consumer perspective. But if you're a developer, you 100% want to look at this. If you actually on the coded input data side, on the right-hand side, if you click that switch over there, so then if you want to, let's say, this is something that I actually ended up using recently. Sometimes you want to create transactions from your computer itself, actually using the terminal. So then you actually need to use the hex input data. So you can copy that, paste it, and then you can actually execute the exact same transaction showcased here with your wallet on another network. Let's go up. If you want to, you can search your address, or we can search my address as well, whichever one you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, no, we can search mine. I think that's nothing fancy there. Let's see.
Yeah.
There's a question here. Is this a block explorer for all the block explorer? I don't know if it.
Yes, no, that makes sense. So yes, it is a block explorer that unifies a lot of search engines. There you go. That unifies block explorers across ecosystems. Yeah, there you go. So these are, as of now, we are compartmentalizing every network to a single chain. So we're showcasing CryptoNita that it's within Ethereum, but in the future, meaning in a few weeks, and we can scroll down as well if you want. So we can look at other NFTs and such. If there's anything there, yeah. So then even there, you are able to see some NFTs that actually, if you click on the, let's say on one of the WASIs or the Poetry Penguins, we also provide increased metadata like rarity scores. We use this open rarity standard, which actually quite a few chains that we work with, they don't necessarily have big NFT marketplaces integrate them or big trades or detail analyzers and whatnot. So we're actually one of the first search engines and tools that come into these ecosystems that actually provide this level of contextualization that they don't have. On Ethereum, do these applications exist? Do these tools exist? Yes, they exist in many different capacities, but there's no one single place. Let's say we click on collections where you're able to see all of this information just in your own hand, right? We're very much mobile friendly as well, and something that we're working on now, which I could share actually on my screen as well for it, is on being able to do cross-chain swaps from any network. Sorry, cross-chain NFT mints from any network into any network. If we look at the top left, the list of chains that are coming to Dora, what we're working on now is on actually enabling that interoperability across every single network.
Is it going to be only NFTs, or like can I cross-chain tokens, ERC20s as well?
Yeah, so it's NFTs. So what we are very consumer focused. So people do often assume that we are NFT first. However, we are enabling bridging, cross-chain swaps, cross-chain NFT buy, cross-chain NFT mint. And that is where we see the industry is headed. We see a place in which you no longer need to have tokens across every single ecosystem. Mm-hmm. You can just have tokens in certain liquidity chains, let's say. Maybe that's the chain that you trust the most, the chain that you feel the most comfortable keeping your assets on. And then you're able to grab that liquidity, put it, and then use it in any chain that you want to interact with. So if you're a very heavy user of Scroll and there's an NFT on Scroll that you like, you can search, let's say, Scroll, go on the search bar, search the Scroll. I want to see maybe there's an NFT named Scroll. Sometimes there is. Go all the way down. There you go, Scroll land. Yeah, let's click on that. Yeah, so if you want to buy digital land on Scroll, you don't need to swap to bridge into Scroll. You can just have your ETH on, let's say, on Arbitrum, on Optimism, on Ethereum, and then cross-chain. Our router handles the bridging, the swap, and then the NFT buy, and then leaves that. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Are you using any already existing technology to do that kind of swaps?
Yes. So from that standpoint, we very much believe in modularism. We believe in hyper specialization in such a way that Dora, what do we focus on? We focus sincerely on actually unifying a lot of these very large pieces of tech, making it easy accessible, making it on the top right, you see that we support right now 4 languages. So if you want to start getting into our certain ecosystems that speak English, speak Spanish, Mandarin, or or Korean, then people see this search engine as a gateway into these ecosystems. And then we can let other teams handle interoperability. We can collaborate with them very heavily on this as well. We personally, let's say I really like the teams at Decent, Squid, their routing solutions as well as the cross team. And then whoever is the first to market into the rollups, we integrate and unify within our aggregator.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because you're basically abstracting away a lot of complexities, and on that interoperability aspect, how do you see going forward? I mean, are you saying you're going to integrate some of the solutions already, and how do you see them connecting? I mean, you're going to abstract everything away?
Yes, we very much follow some chain abstraction doctrines, let's say. If I can show you could I show you a demo actually for the
Yeah, sure.
experience? I think
Yes, please.
yeah, there you go. This should become. We actually hired some people that used to work at some other very large NFT marketplaces, and also even Uniswap. So I think you'll like the experience that we're creating here. Share screen. Just give me 1 second. Window here.
I will just change to Portuguese in 1 second. Pessoal, se vocês tiverem perguntas, mandem no chat em inglês, português, espanhol, alemão, mandem na língua que vocês quiserem, a gente vai trazer aqui para o Bunny depois se a gente tiver um tempinho. Se não, também a gente vai cobrir grande parte disso nas nossas perguntas. Yeah, Bunny, go ahead. Just explain to the folks that have some questions to send to us in the comments. Yeah,
for sure. No, I was able to understand that, so that was great as well. So over here, what you were able to see was that there was no single semblance of, oh, you're actually using this route. We do tell you you're using this route, or you're using this token, you're transacting on these networks, but they're very much deprioritized from the user experience. We think that people should know where their funds are at. I think balance abstraction is very good at that. At telling you have 10,000 USDC, and all of these USDC is broken down on it's coming from Polygon, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, and whatnot. And then once you're able to choose the token that you want to spend, then you can just start searching for the good or service that you want to engage on, and then you can worry, oh, I have my tokens here, right? Yeah. Because when we want to pay for something, when we want to interact with something, we don't necessarily worry about, oh, first let me pull out the debit card or the credit card that I use for this thing specifically, and then, I don't know, maybe turn on the card. No, we just want to find something that we want to interact with, and we then want to worry about, okay, this is how I'm going to interact with it. So actually abstracting that away, not forcing people to bridge, not forcing people to swap into any token. If the NFT or the token or the application only accepts token A and you have token B, we abstract that away.
There are a few questions here on the comments here. One is, can we search every NFT or transaction in the Dora?
Yeah, so right now Dora handles, internally we handle quite a few chains. We actually need to turn on a few chains on the front end still, but we have Scroll, Astria, which is, they're working on the Celestia EVM, Proof of Play Apex, which is a gaming chain on Arbitrum, Side Games, they're the biggest gaming chain on Arbitrum, Palm, which is now the largest NFT chain on Polygon. They actually have a lot of, contracts with, let's say, Netflix, Major League Baseball. So every single NFT ticketed event that Major League Baseball does is issued through Palm Network. And then, of course, Scroll, they were one of our very earliest supporters. And then you'll be seeing Rari Chain, which we just announced. You'll be seeing Arbitrum and Cello and Nossas coming soon in give us like 1 more week.
Oh, nice. Another question is, when will we be able to use the tab all for take a look in the chains at the same time?
So multi-chain addresses is the feature that we're the most excited about. I'd say that integrating chains is very easy on Dora, but it still takes developer time, right? So we'll be seeing multi-chain addresses maybe by ECC. So early July.
Another question here, which is, people are already comparing to DBank, which is the most, basically it's the one that our community used the most. What's the biggest difference that you think for DBank and Dora?
So I think DBank, I like the experience that they've created for a lot of major chains so far. However, if we do believe in a multi-chain future, you also need to continue to have a first mover, to become a first mover into a lot of these rollups. You cannot necessarily deprecate user experience into a chain until the chain becomes really big, and then finally you can start having all these tools that you're used to having. It's better to build from the ground up a tool that is modular, that is rollup centric and multi-chain first, that is able to be one of the first mover into an ecosystem. Like I don't know if DBank integrated with, let's say, Side Network, Proof of Play, or Astria. And that is not to say that that is not to say it's a bad product. It's just that it's a product that primarily focuses on major chains. If you truly are, let's say, a first mover and explorer and whatnot, then you of course want to have visibility and maintain your user experience, regardless of the chain that you're on.
Bunny, I have a question here that just popped up in my head. What is the reason behind the name Search on Dora?
The Search on Dora name comes from, so Dora, I think a lot of people in one way or another have a very positive association between exploring and the name Dora for various reasons. So yeah, it's just that I think that explorers, so there's this idea of, okay, the open internet is great, but do you actually want to, there's some interesting, how to say it? Let's say you can use Dora as a friendly tool to search everything on chain and actually start interacting with applications, or you can also use it as a tool to start tracking people, following addresses, doing investigative research. And I think that there's already really good products for that. So we want to create something that is very friendly, very approachable. Like you don't necessarily think of Google as an evil tool for searching information everywhere in the world. You think of them as, oh, something useful, something friendly, something approachable, something that our grandparents or parents can use to actually find something out about the world. And we want Dora to be the exact same thing.
Yes, for sure. But we got some other question here that I think it's worth mentioning. We will be able to see airdrops maybe in the future, like so in Dora?
Very good question, actually. We've chatted with a few teams that are building airdrop search engines. I do think that is a very natural next step for us to take. It's just not one that we have taken just yet. But I think that something a little bit funny about being multi-chain first is that we have been I joke about this with our team that working at one of the perks of working at Dora is that you get exposed to a lot of airdrops very early, because of course we work with a lot of chains super early. And yeah, I think that we should actually formalize that process to our users as well. So if you go onto a Dora account, then you also are reminded, hey, by the way, there's this airdrop coming to you and you should probably go claim it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, Bunny. I have some other question to you that's regarding like to consumer crypto. I think you mentioned a lot like this next few users that will come, like maybe in this year and like the next year that like probably will be bull market years. So like we have a lot of new folks coming. Do you believe this will be something doable, like this consumer crypto that we aim to deliver? Because we have seen a lot of social fi trying to get traction, but most of the social fi, I think, lack. I think like the possibility of reaching the masses. So we have like forecasters with people focusing on the Ethereum ecosystem. We have some other stuff on I don't know, Solana, focusing on Solana ecosystem. Like how do you think the consumer crypto ecosystem as a whole will grow in this year?
So I think consumer crypto. So let's separate a few things. One is consumer crypto. I imagine the ideal consumer crypto user to be one that is already crypto curious and just needs a little bit of, I guess, guidance to actually start interacting with a few applications. Who do people mostly trust whenever they want to interact with a new piece of tech or a new experience in general? It's just their friends and family. Every other thing that I've done this week was just because my friends wanted to do something, my mom wanted to do something, my mom's visiting, so I've been hanging out with her a lot. It's her second time in New York. And by wanting to guide people through a certain experience, one of the early adopters of technology want to use the tool that is the friendliest. They don't necessarily want a tool that is very complex, and that is what led us to, that is, let's say, one of the first principles of why we should build a Dora that is friendly for everyone. And when it comes to consumer crypto, I think that there's very much a very fat tail outcome, I guess, of either going the super crypto first consumer route or going the oh, this is a tool that anyone and everything can use for interacting with crypto without knowing that it is about crypto. Now, when it comes to SocialFi, that is very much on the crypto native side of things. Even though it may not necessarily be very crypto heavy branded, or you will need, let's say, a wallet before being able to interact with the account. I think that SocialFi runs into some interesting issues, such as, one, do you really want a new social application? That is an issue that traditional social tech has run into quite heavily. Also, if you fragment a lot of content or experiences that you already had in a previous site, are you more likely to engage with it? So let's say I appreciate Forecaster. However, most of my developer heavy talks, I guess, or chats, I have IRL. I have just person to person, because I guess I'm just lucky enough that within New York, especially, there's a lot of very deep tech crypto people here. But I don't necessarily post about that on Twitter. On Twitter, I just go to Twitter to make jokes, to shit post, to post memes, and I'm very happy with that. I don't want to spend too much time having very thoughtful discussions on Twitter. And do I want to spend time doing that on Forecaster? Also, not really yet. But if I do, which is rare, but it does exist, I do go on Twitter and Forecaster for it. And then when it comes, but yeah, that's, I guess, what my thoughts are on it so far. I think it's just an issue of, do you want more of an experience in your day-to-day, and can a social application serve as a conduit for that?
Yeah, building in crypto is hard. I mean, Forecaster is a great tool. It's an alternative to crypto Twitter. But for example, in Brazil, people struggling to sign up for Forecaster. They first need to use VPN down there. They need to use an international credit card to sign up for it. So I don't know. It's going to take longer than I expect to get mass adoption, especially on this kind of dApp. But my question is about, I know building, you say you're building Search on Dora for the past 3 years maybe, and it's tough, right? You faced a lot of challenges. What were the biggest challenges you've faced so far?
I think there's a few interesting ones. One of them is indexing. When Dora began, we were going to be a Substrate, Cosmos, and Ethereum focused explorer. So for that, we spent almost 6 months building a Substrate, EVM, and Cosmos IBC compatible indexer. That was a really big challenge. However, we then realized that because of the depth of the bear market, even though there was interest on developers for using it, there was no real usage. Because we were so user-centric, there were no real users that actually wanted to use Dora as much. And because there were not that as many users that wanted to use Dora as much, of course, people didn't want to pay us for the integration or didn't want to fund it at all. However, after 6 months of doing that, we were like, okay, we spent time on Substrate, winning Polkadot. Let's start chatting with people on Cosmos and Ethereum more. And then as soon as we started chatting with people on Ethereum, it became a matter of us not having enough resources to support every rollup that was coming. And then when it came to Cosmos, the bear market was quite heavy for Cosmos, so then there was not as much support either. So we started getting pulled very heavily within the Ethereum direction. And I think that was one of the most valuable things that we could have done at Dora, to just recognize, okay, there's current interest within this ecosystem. A lot of people are hyped about it, and there's actual real users that want to come in and start using Dora. So then it was a no-brainer. We pivoted and focused only on Ethereum rollups for a very long time, and things have been going great since then. So that's, I think, one of the biggest issues. And then I think the other one was actual brand positioning. So actually being very aggressive about, this is who we're going to work with, and this is the feeling that we want people to have on Dora. So not even though we started getting pulled into explorers are for developers, just sell APIs. I think that I even remember this one VC very clearly telling me, you're gonna fail if you don't focus on APIs from day one. And we had 3 block explorers that focus on APIs go out of business last year. So I'm very happy that we didn't listen to that to that VC. Also, we didn't end up taking his money as well. So I don't know why he was like so aggressive about giving us feedback. But I think that eventually people like to use products where they feel comfortable with. People don't like to use a product where, as you said, there's a lot of friction to start interacting with it. If you can already not sign up to a product, of course you're not going to use it. Of course, even once you're in the product, do you actually like using the product? No, you're maybe not going to continue using it if it doesn't feel friendly enough. And being aggressive about, okay, we want to create a brand that people feel comfortable with. I think that was still to this day, one of the biggest challenges, because crypto is still very UX unfriendly. So trying to make it as friendly as possible and as approachable as possible, and not make it about the tech, even though I'd say almost 80-90% of the people in our team have a deep tech infra background. We still try to be very bubbly and very approachable.
You say you were approached by VCs. Are you able to disclosure how much you guys raised?
So we are now being a little bit more public about it. We raised 5.5 mil so far. We closed our rounds last 2021, 2022. And yeah, it's been good since. I think people have started appreciating the value of a friendly block explorer, and also realize that, okay, block explorers don't only have to be a developer tool. I think that as we see modularism thrive, you will have tools that focus on just creating subgraphs. You'll have tools that just focus on token APIs, on NFT APIs, on visualization, on analytics. I think that very heavy specialization of products is a very reasonable way to approach such a vibrant and diverse ecosystem.
Is it right to say that you guys are sort of a competitor to Etherscan, but with an enhanced UX?
I say yes, but also Etherscan is not in any single business chat that we're on, except for maybe 1 or 2. And the main reasons are because, and I appreciate deeply the Etherscan team, but it's just because the people that, let's say, the average user of Dora is not the average user of Etherscan. Someone that appreciates user friendliness is not necessarily the same person that feels like they need very complex developer tooling or developer data. They can be the same, of course, right? Like that is the reason why we still surface all of the very complex data that you will need from an explorer on Dora. We take the doctrine of scaling complexity with a user's needs, right? We won't shove data in your face just because we have it. We'll let you access it if you really want to. So yeah, I'd say that we're a bit of a different offering to Etherscan, and also I'd say other explorers that I really like for more of the developer focus environment are RouteScan and BlockScout. Like I'd say they have really good comprehensive products for that. And what we've seen is that whenever we signed up our roll-up, we are their consumer-facing offering, and their developer offering ends up being one of those 3.
Yeah, but like personally as a user, it's so bad to like have to enter like Etherscan, OptimisCon, ArbisCon. Like it's so bad, man. Like
yeah,
I would love.
It's not a great experience, no.
Yes, it's not a great experience. And just point out, someone, Gian said in the chat that the UX looks great. Please redo every dApp out there. Yes, especially the ones that like MetaMask. That is like the worst experience ever. But yeah, Bunny. Like moving on a little bit, I know that you are also involved in a side project that's called Yup. Could you explain to us a little bit what it is and like where it came from?
For sure. And I think actually Yap is one of the, so I'd say after running a startup for 2.5 years now, I realized that I also need to keep up with my hobbies. I really like music, poetry, whatnot, but now the more tech heavy I've become, the more tech heavy some of my hobbies have become as well. So now I started doing this thing where I do like one silly on-chain project every week. The one that I did a few weeks ago was Yap. So there was this application called AirChat, which is effectively a voice first Twitter type project. So you will go on your phone, you will tap a button, it will record what is saying, it will record what you're saying, transcribe it into a post using ChatGPT, and then just post it away with both audio and also text, also for accessibility reasons. I think it was a really good UX for that. Then the app had a huge, I guess, moment of usage, and within that, I was like, okay, this is a really funny. I think it would be really funny if, in the exact same way that you tell people drop your ENS below for an airdrop, it would be funny if you ask people to read out loud their 16 digits for their 0x address or their ENS to actually get an airdrop. And it would also be very funny because civil resistance has been a huge topic for a while. So what better way of doing civil resistance than with a voice-powered app? So we did that. We did two airdrops, I think. And then, yeah, I think now there's 150 something holders of Yap. It hit, I believe, 3.5, 4 mil market cap at some point. I think it's still around there. It was also a little bit funny because in retrospective, a lot of people start LPing and just like playing around with Yap without us telling them anything. And I think that, I don't know, like the average Yap airdrop at some point was like people got like 5-7K off it, which is a bit insane to me from a project that we did in, I guess, 3 hours one night, to have it balloon to all of that. But hey, it was a very fun way to onboard people, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. Any ways to onboard people is good. I mean, we need more projects like that. Another question here from Gabriela is that she's asking when we're going to be able to integrate your API to websites like our own Modular Crypto.
So I think that integrations can be done in a few ways. There's a few applications that we're building custom APIs for them to actually be able to, let's say, have the search bar, like we call it search DK. So you can just have the Dora search bar in any application that you want. That's one. That way you can surf it. That way you don't have to re-implement search for ENSs, NFTs, tokens, and whatnot. You can just use one search bar. That's one. Two, people want to just have access to their transactions across some websites just for their own purposes. That one will come. We'll see how much interest there is for that one. We have worked on it on the past, but then we got pulled into, let's say, I feel like we're integrating a new chain every week now. So we need to find the time or hire more people for that as well. Yeah, maybe by ETC we'll have a timeline at least.
Yeah. Besides your own project, are there any cool, interesting modularity projects that you are exploring or maybe find exciting?
Yes. So I think that modularity has lent itself to a lot of very interesting user experimentation. So we're seeing, let's say, within the Arbitrum ecosystem, the two biggest chains that we've seen a lot of hype around just lately have been Anime Chain and Psy Games. Especially from the standpoint of having a chain that is just hyper specialized to gaming, and also letting even other game development studios not use the L3, but also deploy an L4 on top of that network to start even more heavily experimenting with those chains. That's one. Two, when it comes to Anime Chain, a chain that just focuses on fostering IP that is anime related, which is, I mean, I grew up watching anime. Maybe you two also watch anime or are still watching it.
That's the Azuki related chain, right? Oh, yeah.
Yes, correct. It's the Azuki. Azuki is one of the first IPs that they're using, but of course they're expanding beyond Azuki. And I think that being able to have, again, in the topic of approachability, maybe people don't necessarily want to interact with crypto as crypto, but they will feel comfortable interacting with anime that just so happens to also have a crypto backend, especially when it comes to, let's say, royalties. And in the topic of royalties, also Chain, which does enforce at the chain level royalties for creators, which is something that there was at some point a battle amongst NFT marketplaces for, oh, you don't have to pay the royalty fee here, you don't have to pay the royalty fee here. But Chain took the stance of, no, here in this chain, if you're a creator, you will always get royalties for the work that you produce. And I think that being able to, that you can do that on a Web2 level, right? You can make a contract between two entities to enforce royalties, but as soon as that IP is transferred, that IP's royalties leave your own rights. But being able to enforce that at on-chain level, I think that is the fascinating thing about crypto.
Yeah. There's some alpha here. Gabriela also questioning you. Are you coming to Modular Carnival? What is that, Cody? That's some alpha here, huh?
Yeah, like we are spilling. Bunny should be the one spilling some alpha, and like we are spilling the alpha here. Yeah, Bunny.
She wants to know if you're coming to Brazil.
Yeah.
When isn't there a meme about come to Brazil as well?
Yes,
there is one. Yeah. What was I going to say? When is Modular Carnival? Is next month?
No.
Next year.
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
Ooh, I'll pull up to Brazil. I do actually like Brazil very much. I went there with my parents. I think in 2012, and it was very fun. I had a wonderful time. So of course I'll go back anytime.
Yes,
nice.
Yes, hyped for that. And Bunny, to wrap up our conversation today, please, what's next for Dora? Give us some alpha here today, please.
I think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think what's coming next for Dora is I am very interested to see the Optimism superchain ecosystem keep on flourishing. I think that they've done a wonderful job at actually coordinating many different brands and identify synergies between them and just increase both activity, TVL, and usage across the entire ecosystem. That's one. Two, I think the Arbitrum ecosystem is not falling behind, and they've done an amazing job at now pushing very heavily Orbit chains. So I want to see what are the different approaches that we end up having there. That one, the Celestia ecosystem as well, very, very fascinating. I do think that having there's this project called Astria, they are working on a share sequencer network. There's some very interesting, on the topic of interoperability, stuff that you can do if you have a share sequencer that enables you to start interacting across different rollups that are deployed leveraging that, effectively creating this one liquidity hub and then being able to experiment with different rollups as well, on different optimizations and such. And yeah, I think those are the three things that I'm the most interested on right now. And of course, you'll have Dora on all those ecosystems too.
Nice. Will there ever be a token on Dora? Like when token?
Maybe at some point, but that's for me to know and for the public to find out.
See, there's your alpha.
If you follow Dora on Twitter, on X, we will get some tea. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think that you'll be able to. I think that people should take advantage of being able to create an account on Dora, which is something that is coming in a few weeks.
Great. All right. So to wrap things up here, how does someone get to know more about what you're building, about Bunny? What is the best place to find you? It's your time to chill.
Sure. So you can get to know more about us on @SearchOnDora on Twitter. Follow me and also our team @Conejo Capital on Twitter. Bunny on Twitter. I think that those are the best places to find us. And then you have all the other links to join our Telegram chat, to start using the website. And also feel free to DM me. I'm very open on Twitter, very easy to reach when Dora. Yes, that is a very good question. And yeah, just tweet at me. Very easily reachable there.
Yes, Bunny. Thank you so much for coming here today. It was a pleasure. It was a great conversation, at least from my side. I learned a lot, talked a lot, get to discover a lot, and I'm glad that we were able to show a little bit about Dora too. I know that we haven't prepared for that, but I think it worked out great. So thank you so much for coming here chatting with us. Just want to say a few words in Portuguese to our audience before we wrap everything up. Just a disclaimer, and of course, asking them to give a like and subscribe, these silly things. But yeah, galera, não se esqueçam, por favor, do like. Se inscrevam no canal da Modular. Sigam o Bunny, Conejo Capital, Search on Dora. Os links estão todos aqui na descrição já. Você consegue pegar isso tudo por aí. E também não se esqueçam, o Bunny falou coisa muito boa lá no Twitter. Bunny logo no Brasil aqui, quem sabe, já vai chegar para o Modular Carnival. Mas não se esqueçam, pessoal, esse final de semana também vamos estar em Brasília. Quem for de Brasília aí já cola com a gente também. Vamos rodar aí o Brasil fazendo eventos. E é isso. Agora, para terminar, vou voltar para o inglês aqui. Yeah, Guelph, I think that's it from my side. Bunny, again, thank you so much for coming here today. It was a pleasure talking with you. Guelph, it was also a pleasure talking with you, my friend, as usual. And I leave to you, friend.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks, Bunny. It was nice meeting you. And I hope to see you next in Brazil. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys. See you later.
Bye.